Of all the things that you could be recording right now, of all the things, you literally have options right behind me because they're accessories needed. Instead, you chose the three biggest jackasses in the Transformers mythos that we all know. Great picking, BC. Great picking.
What is up, guys? BC coming back at you guys with yet another Transformers video review. And today we are going to be taking a look at the Transformers Earthrise Seekers. Now, this... Whoops, sorry, Thundercracker. So this is going to be my first venture into doing multiple toys at the same time. Now, I say that to say this. It's literally just the same toy 3 times. I wasn't about to do an entire separate video for each and every one of them, so at this point, just do them all, get it done, get it out of the way. So, the way I see it, this one video will count towards as a review of all 3 Seekers. That said, how do I start this? Basically, so bar none, colors perspective, I vastly prefer Skywarp. The black and purple, it just works. I really like Skywarp as far as colors goes, but as far as the characterization goes for the 3 Seekers, I've always kind of leaned more towards Thundercracker, and it's entirely because he was always implied to have a bit more of an actual backstory in comparison to the other 2, but it never got fully fleshed out until like the IDW comic books. So yeah, like just characterization wise, I've always really loved Thundercracker here, but we all know that of all 3 of these, everyone's favorite, Starscream. Now, again, like I said, this is the Earthrise Seeker set. I vastly prefer the build of the Earthrise Voyager Starscream over the SS-86 Leader Starscream. Because just for whatever reason, the SS-86 Leader, I think they use different plastics on it, and because of that, it feels like trash. Like wild trash. Anyways, so let's go ahead and readjust this. Yeah, so there's the jet modes, and let's actually go ahead and get a closer look at each of them individually, one by one. Now, here is Starscream's jet mode, which, you know, it's basically an F-15, and, you know, typical of any jet former. Or, especially if you saw my my Wing Gundam review on Matanuba. From the top, looks great. What the hell is going on down here? Yeah, like you can tell there is a whole man's underneath here. Like, what's going on? Anyways, so yeah, that's the whole ordeal of it. One thing I've always one thing that really kind of irks me, these portholes. Like, I get why it's there. It don't change the fact that I still don't care for it being here and being this giant hole that's sticking up from the top of the jet. The cone heads do it too. It's an oversight in my eyes, but at the end of the day, it's meant for a specific line-wide gimmick that they've kept going successfully since Siege. I'm not going to complain entirely because of that. Howsoever, I will nitpick at the fact that it does kind of kill the overall look of the jets, especially since the Seekers are one of those sets of characters where you can get away with displaying them in their alternate mode. And it kind of sucks. So it's whatever at this point. Now, moving on to Thundercracker real quick. Again, characterization-wise, my vastly preferred. Now, Thundercracker's blue. That's probably another reason why I vastly prefer Thundercracker. This blue, now on camera, this looks beautiful. But in person, nowhere near as actually pretty. It's a very, very, how do I put this? In the camera, it looks like a royal blue, so whereas in person, it's more like a sea blue. You know what I mean? No, it's not a deal breaker or anything. I'm not going to sit here and get all bent out of shape over it. Just, something I wish would have been done better. But yeah, so, actually, one thing I should have mentioned. So, Starscream, because bearing in mind I had to get all these secondhand. Starscream I got from the Sabertron store. I got this from Ryan. So, hey, Ryan, I'm finally getting around to doing coverage on these toys. So, hey, thanks, man. So, yeah, they're the Starscream right there. Thundercracker right here. Thundercracker I got off of eBay from the Pharaoh Toys. So, and he was a real cool dude about it. Initially he gave me an offer. I couldn't accept it at the time, but when I finally had a little bit of money laying around, I was like, hey, I was watching this. You had sent me an offer, but I couldn't capitalize on it right away. Is there something we can do? He literally went into eBay, changed the price to be the offer price, and then told me, go ahead and order it and I'll get it shipped out to you ASAP. So yeah, that's how I ended up with Thundercracker. And yeah, again, it's basically the F-15 but in blue. Yeah. Now, Skywarp, right out of the gate, I got Skywarp from Toy de Jour. I had ended up getting him with the Universe Collectors Club Ramjet, I want to say was called. Whatever. It was the white version of the Thrilling 30 Armada Starscream mold. I can't remember what it was called at the moment. But yeah, anyways, here is Skywarp in jet mode, and he looks awesome. The black, the purple, just, oh my goodness. Skywarp has always had the best colors of the three. So yeah, at this rate, there's no denying it. This is a fantastic toy. So yeah, there we go. Now, that's Skywarp. And that's basically the jet modes as a whole. So if you want, at this rate, yeah, we'll go ahead and do the transformation segment.
In audio. In audio.
Had to get a little bit of extra light in here for the sake of talking the robots. But here are the robot modes. And yeah, classic Seeker. Now, if you're wondering, gee, BC, these Seeker robot modes, they kind of look familiar. Well, that's because why fix what ain't already broke? This is basically a brand new take on the old 2006 Classics Seeker mold. Basically taking that deluxe figure, upscaling it to a Voyager size, but tweaking and improving it a bit. So yeah, there we go with the robots. absolutely awesome looking set of figures. As a whole, I really, really like these guys. Just in general. Overall, yeah, I mean, slightly upsetting that the paint on Starscream so far is the only paint that chips on any of these. Other than that, no complaints across the board with this. There's a lot that I could be saying right now that I'm kind of choosing not to. And again, it's literally a case of they just took the classic Seeker mold and they upscaled it to a Voyager size. There's really not much else to say here. If you futz with the old classic Seeker mold, you already kind of know what you're getting into with this. It's just a slightly more complicated transformation. Now, that said, one thing we're going to bring up with the transformations from Jet to Robot and back again, quite frankly, it is this canopy section. It is the canopy section and it's basically the entirety of the torso transformation as a whole. I feel like they could have worked something out with that a little bit better. And I know for a fact these guys aren't the only ones that have the issue. It's on my 2 cone heads as well. So these 3 all share an issue with the cone heads. It's basically an issue with the mold all around. You clear as day saw it when I was transforming Skywarp. You basically have to pinch the intakes to get enough of this moved out of the way to pull the chest apart. It is a lot of plastic flexing that I am not comfortable with whatsoever. Now, with that said, like I did last time, let's go ahead and do a quick little turnaround with, or just kind of do a quick little one-on-one session with each of the 3. And as promised, here is Starscream in robot mode. And it is proper 84 Starscream. You know, the gray, the red, the blue, everything, all the colors in the right spots. It all just works so unbelievably well on this. Of all of the versions of this mold that basically do the old, like I said, the old classics Seeker mold upscaling, I genuinely feel like Starscream is the one that came out the best, which is funny because he was wave 1 of Earthrise. So you could literally pick this guy up off of a shelf, like literally right at the beginning. And honestly, I feel like you were definitely getting a much better toy at the end of the day, because it is an absolutely fantastic figure overall. Now here we have Thundercracker, and you know, it's basically, you know, Starscream but blue, and there's nothing really wrong about that. Thundercracker as a figure is definitely a worthy pickup on his own, but you know, unlike Starscream, at the time the only way to get Thundercracker was to buy a 2-pack that had where he came with Skywarp, which was a Target exclusive. I had to find one for a friend of mine. It was a pain in the butt. I didn't like it. It made me mad. With that said, I mean, again, like I said, I don't hate this. It is slightly annoying that he is the classic Seeker mold, just upscaled. But at the end of the day, it's still a fantastic friggin' figure. I really do like this Thundercracker. But the one whose colors are just the outright best of all 3, it is always going to be Skywarp. Whenever a Seeker mold is made, you know I'm always going to be looking forward to seeing it done up as Skywarp. And every time it's done as Skywarp, it looks amazing. You genuinely cannot get this color scheme wrong. You know, on second thought, I take that back. The Cybertron one exists. Anyways. So, yeah. Skywarp here is just... mwah, chef's kiss. He's a great little figure. I really like him. Now, with that said, I'm going to take note of something here with the 3 of them. And it's literally a case of Well, let's just go ahead and show you guys precisely what I am talking about so I can actually get this thing out of here real quick. By the way, y'all liking the turntable? I think it's pretty cool. So anyway, kind of straightening Skywarp back out just for a split second, bringing Thundercracker back in. Gonna take this as a moment. Starscream and Thundercracker share something, but Skywarp gets something different, and as you can clearly see, it's the heads. For whatever reason, they gave Skywarp an eternal screaming face. I don't understand why. It wouldn't have been, like... I don't get it. I just don't get it. This eternal screaming face, everybody thought for sure this was going to be used to make a quote-unquote dying Starscream. And, you know, clearly enough, that hasn't happened yet. So, you know, maybe after all these dead Autobot packs, we can finally see it as... We can finally see a dead Starscream. I swear if I willed that into existence. Anyways! Yeah, so Skywarp has a different head. Thundercracker and Starscream share a head. I don't get this. I really don't. If I didn't like the colors on him so much, that head would have ruined this entire experience for me. So yeah, that's just where I stand. Let me go ahead and get them looking proper again, and then we'll do some size comparisons. So there are our Seeker boys. And here is an Earthrise Smokescreen. Fantastic little dude. Earthrise Grapple. Yeah, Starscream was clearly the better figure. And entirely because I feel like showing something relevant. Legacy United Leader Sandstorm. Oh, I have plans for you. So there we go. There's the size comparison. And as far as articulation goes, like I said, it's basically the classic Seeker mold, just with a few added things to it. And I think of all the things added, all that's really been added is a ball jointed neck and an ankle tilt. That's it. Or the rest of the articulation is basically carried over from that old figure. Which, you know, it isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just slightly disappointing, you know? I would have really loved to see this mold, like this entire design, just completely overhauled to give us a whole new look to the Seekers at the Voyager class price point. I'd have loved to see that, but alas, hey, you know, like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And for what it's worth, this kind of proves you really can't beat that Classics toy. It's just great. It is just fantastic. So yeah, with all that said, guys, let's go ahead and start digging into the final thoughts, and then we'll go ahead and get out of here. Alright, let's get into it. So, final thoughts wise, here is where we really get into this. So, obviously, let's start with the negatives, and these are going to be some things that I really didn't mention throughout the review, mainly because it really doesn't affect the figures at the end of the day. Negative number 1, my Thundercracker had a bunch of mold flash on it. Ultimately, something I ended up fixing on my own. So, no issues at the end of the day there. Nitpick number 2. I have a wing that consistently wants to fall off in the middle of transformation on Starscream. It is aggravating. I hate that, and I'm not sure how to fix it. Complaint number 3. Skywarp's random different head. I'm really starting to agree with TJ in the fact that Skywarp always ends up being the odd bot out. It is annoying to see it, especially when it is blatantly pointed out. And again, like, you can take this as a complaint, or you could take it as a, well, that just goes to show how good that toy was. The fact that these guys are very unapologetically just a new take on the classic Seeker mold. I'm gonna keep saying it. It's like, now again, you could take it as a compliment, or you could take it as an insult. It really doesn't matter to me, because at the end of the day, you cannot deny that classic Seeker mold is a bop. It's an absolute banger of a toy, and the fact that these guys basically just sat there and said, you know what, let's copy the homework on that. It allowed these to be pretty darn decent toys as well. So nothing to really get mad at or to really complain about here. Now on to the positives. Like I said, due to the fact that these are the classic Seeker mold, a lot of the positives of that old toy shine on these new ones. The fact that that figure was allowed to look as stunning as it was, it allowed these to look as good as humanly possible. These are great figures in hand. The paintwork, other than Starscream, who unfortunately has some very bad, very, very bad red paint chipping. You know, like, mine's not so bad, but I've seen others, and it can get bad. It can get really bad. So, yeah, other than Starscream, the paintwork on these guys, immaculate. The plastic color on everything across the board, it all matches, it all looks right, nothing seems like it's mismatched from other toys. Yeah, overall, it's a very, very solid little experience. I like these guys. I like them a lot. Now, with that said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it. There we go. There are the Earthrise Seekers. I'm very glad I decided to do all three at the same time because, again, these would have been super quick videos at the end of the day if I would have chosen to do them one bot at a time. So I'm glad I did all three, and I'm just gonna be real. I'm ranking them as a set as opposed to individual figures. If you want the individual ranking, I can definitely address it in a later video, maybe even on Scrapyard. I don't know yet. We shall see. With that said, do I want to tease who's next? Do I? Nah, not this time. Although I might tease the next review in the next review. I'm rambling now. So with that said, the set as a whole, I'll go ahead and give them a low gold. It's not that they're bad. It's just, it feels like old news that I'm now catching up on. Yeah, it's whatever at this point. I think they're great figures. I recommend them. I think they're great. And there's only so much I can really say about these, other than the Seekers. You're always going to get the Seekers. It don't matter who you are. The moment a Seeker set's announced, you're gonna get it. So, with that said, guys, I've taken up enough of your time. This is BC saying, stay near to get your geek on. Talk to you guys next time.